What up? What up? Tuesday night, you know what the deal is. It's the Hockey Happy Hour coming at you live on A2D radio. Got a lot to talk about tonight, even though it is the NHL offseason. Got a bunch of trades we're going to talk about today, including the one that Kevin Hayes going to St. Louis Blues. We got NHL Draft talk. Since the draft is tomorrow night, I think it's pretty imperative that tonight we kind of have to talk about that. Also going to give our top 10 mock drafts on what we kind of want to see tomorrow. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. Make sure y'all comment in tonight. We're going to need a lot of you guys here tonight. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. It's time to talk some puck. Let's go.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! You're flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
There we go. Sorry, muted my mic there. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live on A2DRadio.com. Once again, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. If you have any issues, whether it's aches or pains, and it's affecting your personal and professional life, go see Dr. Paul Vidal. Make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And then once you make your appointment, head either to Cherry Hill or Burlington, New Jersey, and the team of highly trained professionals will make sure you don't have any of those aches and pains anymore, and you will feel as good as new, and you'll get back to being good at work and being great in your personal life. All right. On to our poll question, and the Twitter poll question brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, and sandwiches along with that, cutlets, meatballs, and if you mention A2D, you get 10% off of your in-store purchase. Hey, just because hockey's over and just because basketball's over, hey, baseball's still here, and the All-Star break will be here before you know it. So maybe you want to have an All-Star break party. Maybe you have a birthday coming up. Maybe it could be just a family reunion. Either way, get yourself some great bread from Mount Laurel, Baggio's Bread. All right, moving on to the poll question, and it is: the Flyers will make a splash trade and move into the top 5 of the draft. Agree or disagree? Obviously, the Flyers have been rather active. A lot has come through the news wire besides the jersey rebranding. And while some of it a little bit hair raising or a little bit eyebrow raising and head scratching, others of it little intriguing, a little interesting to take a look at and see what will ultimately pay off in the end. So with that, gentlemen, I will leave it to you. Do you believe that with everything that's been going on, Danny will make a splash here at the draft, try to get the Flyers into the top 5?
I'll jump off here and dip my toes in. Water seems a little bit cold tonight though with the rain.
Just a little.
Just a little. I'm gonna disagree now, but I'm not gonna put it past Danny to try and make something happen for the draft, especially after the way things ended today with the Kevin Hayes and the St. Louis Blues saga. Things with that trade not going the way that they had initially thought for a bunch of different reasons, which we'll get into in a little bit here. But I know Danny and Jonesy want to try and get this rebuild as soon as possible, and a lot of that is going to come from being able to move up. I don't see it not happening with how active that he's been so far, but do I kind of see it? No, because there's going to be a good player to fall to him. It all depends on who they're looking at. It's rumored that Michkov could be their guy at 7, which doesn't make any sense to me personally. I'll explain to who I have them taking at 7 in a bit here, but I don't see it happening. But I wouldn't put it past them. Again, Danny's been very active, so again, it wouldn't surprise me. But again, I disagree.
Brad, how do you feel? Do you feel that it will be a splash or no?
No, I don't think they're going to be able to get into the top five if that's what you are trying to hope for. I don't think that they can necessarily do that. I mean, they right now. I think that they will get. They'll probably end up with another first rounder somehow, some way, or they'll try to move up and get closer. One of their picks closer. I just don't know how much more they can possibly go. What, 7 right now?
Yeah, they're at 7.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably looking at either Benson, Leonard, or Dvorsky. One of those three. Because those are probably going to be. Maybe they get lucky and Smith is still there, but I doubt it. I mean, that would take probably having to trade up a couple of spots.
Yeah, and like we were saying off the air, Brad, like Will Smith is a top 4 prospect. If he falls out of the top 4, I'd be incredibly surprised.
Well, I mean, there are some good guys in the top 5. Bedard, Fantilli, Carlsson, Michkov. I mean, those are guys that are almost guaranteed to be big time players. So, it's entirely possible he may not go till 5. And if they can try to make some kind of a trade to move up to switch spots, I don't know. Maybe give up an extra first round pick towards the bottom of the first round. I don't know if they could do that, and I don't know how if Montreal would want to do that, but you never know.
I mean, with the deal earlier that they acquired Alex Newhook, maybe they do kind of drop back a little bit. Maybe they'd be more willing to drop back, acquiring a very young center in Alex Newhook who can clearly do a lot with the puck and is a pretty good playmaker as he's been shown in Colorado. Maybe that's a move where they can sit there and say, hey, we got a pretty good young player here who's about ready to jump into his prime. Maybe we take a couple spots back. I mean, for me, you're either going to move up to 5, you're going to move up to 6. You're not moving up any further than that.
No, because I mean that's about it. But I think at this point it's going to be awfully tough for them to do that. I just don't know that. I don't know that they have the draft capital or the young player capital right now to do that. That's the problem. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to take any of their money to try to do that either. I mean, it just seems like the market that's getting set is really rough for trying to trade money. The money players. That's it looks like the Johansson trade kind of set the market, and not in a good way. I think that's how the Flyers kind of got burnt with that market being said. That did not help.
Well, Swoopy here saying, do you guys believe Danny is active only because it's the beginning of his tenure? Is he super anxious to overtry this soon? Will he keep being very active in trades and big moves and eventually free agency all throughout his time as the GM? I don't know if Danny's being over anxious to try and do something because it's the beginning of his tenure. I think he's over anxious because he knows that there's contracts coming up for some young players, and he knows he's got to get cap space freed up. And he knew inheriting the team now, instead of being the assistant and being the full general manager, he knew that he inherited a really bad clusterfuck of some really nasty contracts that he has to get off the books in order for them to even remotely have the opportunity to negotiate with some of the young players they want to keep. And that's just a few this year, and then there'll be others next year. So there's a number of things that he has to account for. And I think that's what's really got him anxious, more so than just the fact that it's the beginning of his time as the GM. That's what I think is getting him to try and get these moves done, because he wants to start getting those negotiations going and moving forward instead of having to worry about, crap, now we got to try and make a deal happen after the draft. And now we got to try and see if somebody be willing to take this or take that, without having the leverage of having picks that are going to be picked in the near future. So I think Danny's more anxious on trying to get those get those bad contracts out, or at least get a decent portion of those bad contracts out and get those young players signed.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too. He wants to free up the cap space and get guys like Cates and Frost who are RFAs, get them back under contract, and in order to do that, you got to move guys. And I see a couple. Benny was saying something that Brad had said to me off the air was, I think they could have waited to move Hayes at the deadline. I don't think they could have. I don't think Hayes wanted to be here. I think it was very clear with the fact that the St. Louis Blues were not on his wish list, and he still accepted that trade. So that's kind of says something on that relationship between Kevin Hayes and John Tortorella and where that is. I don't see that happening at all. I don't think he wanted to. I think his time here was shot. I think it had everything to do with John Tortorella. That's the big thing for me here is that Hayes probably wasn't going to play, to be completely honest with you. I don't think he would have. I think he would have just sat there and said, I'll take my money. I'm going to sit. I don't think it was going to be a deadline trade for Kevin Hayes. I think it was now or it just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
They had leverage in this trade.
Right.
Yeah, the fact that they couldn't even get a pick this year, that's what really that would really bother me. St. Louis gets a guy like Kevin Hayes, 3 years for $10.4 million. I mean, that's a good deal for them. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely is. But unfortunately, in the situation the Flyers are in, they had that deal set up the other day where it was going to be him and Sanheim, and there was going to be much more coming back.
Right, but Krug screwed everything up.
Right. And then the Flyers lost all leverage because Sanheim had to get pulled out of the deal, and Krug got pulled out of the deal, and it kind of tore everything up. And with, like I said, with where Kevin Hayes stands with John Tortorella, he picked the team not on his 10-team wish list to be moved to and accept the deal. So that says a lot.
Well, Devin Dixon saying, what are they doing with Ryan Ellis? There's really nothing you can do with Ellis except put him on the injury reserve until you hear that he's retired or what have you. But it seems as though that's what's going to happen with him. You can't get rid of that because who's going to take on that contract unless they're at the cap floor? And I don't think the Coyotes are at the cap floor. So I don't think they're going to take the bad contract away from Ellis. Not this time. So you're kind of just stuck with them.
Yeah, they're going to put him on the LTIR where his contract isn't going to affect the cap at all. So
right.
You don't have to worry about that.
So everybody who's chiming in, Benny, Ryan, we have Wills chiming in, Jake, Chucks, everyone, thank you guys for joining us. Roscoe's here. Thank you all for coming in. Will saying, what's up, boys? I'd love to see a splash trade to move up, but I doubt it. Joe, though, he does say this. He says, y'all don't think the pick 7 and 20 in Sanheim is enough to move up 3 spots to 4?
I think it's too much, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
Going for it. Not in those top 4 teams, anyway.
See, the problem is that the thing that gives you the most leverage there is the 7th pick. Don't get me wrong, the 20th isn't bad in a deep draft. And Sanheim, though, I mean, I
don't know that he's somebody that everybody is just dying to try to get.
I don't think they're necessarily breaking down the door.
Yeah. He's not in high demand right now.
Well, I've heard
not that he's a bad player. It's just it's an unfortunate situation for them right now.
He's inconsistent. It's what hurts him the most.
Yeah, and what happened with Tony DeAngelo sure as hell really stinks. I mean that's just
obvious.
That's just ridiculous because neither GM is even around. When you consider that the Flyers have a different GM than the one that made that deal, I mean to me it doesn't make sense. You know, he
It's in the
leaves
CBA that you can't trade a guy
back to his
Well,
old
The thing
team.
is,
back to his
too, is
old
that
team within 12 months.
Yeah, so they have to wait till July 9th, I think, before if they want to make that trade.
Yep.
Which I guess they could do that, but I mean, if Carolina
well, I
doesn't
think
want to
the
do it by
NHL
then,
is planning on talking with them.
Yeah, they're going to talk this week.
I think the
Yeah.
NHL is planning on talking with both teams.
Yeah, but the draft is
so
tomorrow.
it's
I mean, they
we'll
gotta.
see if by tomorrow
Yeah,
that's
they
when they're
gotta.
going to talk to him. So I mean,
Okay.
they got all day. They can easily talk about it early before picks get made. So they could talk about it and see if they wish to put the kibosh on it or if they'll allow it to go through. I honestly think that the NHL should, because I don't really think that they're trying to circumvent the cap. That's their reasoning for why they're blocking this
Mhm.
trade, besides the CBA rules. And I don't think that's what they're trying to do here. I just honestly feel like that the NHL is only doing it because they want to make sure that people are on notice of, hey, listen, even if we let this deal go through, we want you to know that we're monitoring this shit. So you can't just do whatever you feel like. That might be half the motivation as to why the NHL is doing it in the first place, because they don't want teams to get funny and start thinking that they can get away with it. That's why they're trying to put if not the kibosh, they're trying to put it on hold and tell people, hey,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, it's not involving this deal doesn't involve any draft picks. So it's not like they really have to rush and get it taken care of. The return for Tony DeAngelo was just a prospect. So
right.
Right.
I mean, I get what the NHL is trying to do here, and they're just reviewing it. I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a deal that's going to be broken down. I think it's just a matter of, okay, guys, what we're going to wind up doing is we're just going to have to wait till the end of July. Or after July 9th, after that, you guys can make this deal official. They just have to prove they're not circumventing anything.
They can approve the deal and just not announce it till the 9th too.
Yeah, I mean, they could do that too.
Yeah, that's I think that might be something that they probably will do, and then Carolina, then they'll do what they have to do to make sure that the deal that the deal's going to be okay. Because there's really when you have a different GM, it's a totally different situation now.
By the way, Brandon Marsh is 2 for 2 home runs tonight. It's 4-0, and Cody Clemish just hit a double on a single.
Nice.
I love this kid.
Swoopy saying, I'm sure more big moves will come. That will make up for the low return of Hayes. I believe it will happen. I'm staying positive. I would too. Because I don't think Danny is going to rest on his laurels here. I mean, sure, the first move to try and get rid of Sanheim didn't go through because Torrey Krug put the nix to that. Fine. That doesn't mean that you can't figure out another way to move Sanheim out. You can figure out another way. And that's the thing. We knew that getting rid of these contracts was not going to be easy. We knew that it was going to have to require retentions of salaries. I mean, Provy, we had to retain some of his. The Kings took some of it just to make it amends. And then on top of it, we had to retain 50% of Hayes' salary. So you knew you were going to have to eat some of it in order just to get the contracts out. But the important thing is that a big contract is off the books. The big contract is off the books. And that's the important thing to take away from today. That's why I would say I'm not really mad that we only got a 6th-round pick for Hayes.
Well, let me ask you this, Matty.
Hold on real quick. You're forgetting one major thing here, Matty, because I agree with you 100% on this. But you're forgetting one thing. This is important too. They didn't have to buy him out.
What?
So you're not responsible for his contract over the next 3 years from buying him out.
Right. They didn't have to use the
half of it.
buying.
You're responsible for 3.25 for the next 3 years, and you got a 6th-round pick out of it.
Right.
I'm taking this trade all day.
Right. So really, yeah, this is a very solid deal. I feel. I think people are looking a little too much at the return. It's like, no. We got to think broader, big picture here. We needed him off the books for the future of signing other young players. We cannot allow Hayes' contract to sit on this team. And if that means knocking it down to 3-point-whatever mil for the next 3 seasons, fine. I can live with that. That gives me flexibility, way more flexibility than paying the whole damn thing.
what would they have if they
Let's
bought
see
him out?
here.
And that's what I was going to
Benny's
ask.
saying, I think
And
Jones.
what would they be paying him?
7.5 over 3 years or something like that. So it's going to wind up being. I'm terrible at math. It'd be a hell of a lot more than they're paying now. I promise you that.
Well, it would be for 6 years, right?
No, it'd be for the remainder of the deal. So it'd be 3 years.
I thought it's
And they
if
wouldn't
if
get
they
their.
bought him out and he has 3 years left in his contract. That's $21 million. Wouldn't they have to pay? Wouldn't they get 6 years to pay off the $21 million, and it would sit on their books for 6 years? I think that's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Maddie, go ahead while I look this up.
All right then.
Yeah,
So
I just remember when the Rangers bought out Dan Girardi. That's how it worked. So I mean, maybe things are different now. I don't know.
So Benny's Nation saying, I think Jones and Danny could have convinced him to play through the first half of the year with the promise to move him. I mean, you could try that, but at the same time, it's like, are you 100% sure that you're going to be able to convince him? Because he's getting paid no matter what he's doing. And really, if you know you're getting moved and the team really has no interest of you taking on a future major role in the team, what's the incentive of him to put on the skates and go out there and give a fuck? Yeah, he could just go out there and say, I'm just here to collect a paycheck. I don't give a fuck what happens in these games. Yeah, do you really want that on your team? Especially if he starts feeling a certain way about, yeah, they're going to move me, so why the fuck do I care? You know he's going to get moved. So why does he care? Why should he care? Like, this team wants to move me. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I'm getting paid no matter what. It's kind of better you just take care of it in the off season than not.
So
that way you don't have any hard feelings. That way you don't have any issues between him and Torts in the locker room.
Yeah, so you're right, Brad. It's actually going to be 2/3 of the remaining contract value and double whatever the contract length is. So it would be 2/3 of whatever he's making.
2/3 of 14
over 6
million.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2/3 of 14 million for 6 years. So 14 million divided by 6 is about 2.25, I guess. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like
so
I
they'd
said,
be
my
paying
math is
2.25 for this. So really, it's only costing them, I guess, I guess half a million a year for 3 years, and then they're done with it.
Pretty much.
So yeah, I guess it's probably a better idea, and I do get why they don't want to get rid of him in the middle of the year or at the trade deadline. Although I think it could have worked their way, but if they do that, they're also risking that the guy gets hurt too. And Kevin Hayes does have an injury history; he always seems to get hurt every year.
That as well.
I mean, at least he did with the Rangers. He got hurt a couple of times with you guys too. I mean, that's
the second year of his contract, he was hurt.
Yeah, he's always getting hurt. That was part of the problem with him.
Johnny, my brother. It's interesting to be back in New Jersey, let me tell you that.
Yeah.
It's very different from when I left. It is, though.
Benny,
it is, though. There's no
saying, I also
anywhere.
don't want to move too many picks to move up. We have way too many needs.
Right now, you need right now, you're just trying to get some good athletes on this team, some good young players, and build around them.
I would look at it this way: the 2 picks that you have in the first round. If you want to move the 20, if you know you're trying to get a first round pick and you had the ability to trade to get that first round pick, if you want to move the 20, fine, move the 20. You want to keep the 7. You want to try and see if you can pull that off. If you can pull having a top 5 or top 4 and have the 7th overall, then that's really nice right there. You don't want to trade the 7th. Now, if you have to, you bite the bullet and you trade the 7 away and keep the 20th. Not saying that you wouldn't get a great player at the 20th if you got a deep draft. I'm just saying that you really want to keep your higher pick than trade away that 20th overall. I mean, obviously. But, again, I don't really even think Danny's moving too many picks, really. He's just kind of just moving players out and just taking whatever he can get out of it. He hasn't really What, he only traded one pick, I think, when in the Profi deal? I think he only traded one away in that.
It was the Flyers. I don't think gave any picks up. I think it was just
Did we?
Provorov and Connaughton. And then the Flyers got picks in return.
It was just them? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, never mind. All right, then. So, yeah. So, let's see. Swoopy saying, I'd rather move Risto over Sanheim. I would too, but the problem is I don't think anyone wants Risto. I mean, Sanheim, you have some ability to say, yes, Sanheim's got some upside to him. He's just inconsistent. Risto, good luck trying to convince even someone picking up the phone. Risto's that kind of guy you throw in on a deal if they're willing to even take him on that and say, here, can I throw Risto to you as well? Just as please get this guy away from me and I'll take this off your hands kind of situation. That's literally what Risto is.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's going to be hard to move, Risto.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's
Drop
not.
in.
He's not. He's not someone that's in demand either. That's another one. The one guy, there are two guys you could probably get a lot for, Konechny and Hart. Those are the two. Those are your two money players that you can get some. You should be able to get some talent for.
I've heard rumors of Konechny to LA, but with the trade of Pierre-Luc Dubois going to LA earlier, I think that kind of puts the kibosh on that one there.
Brian, Rob and I were discussing last night what would make sense for Carter Hart and where the Flyers should trade him, and we came up with Detroit.
Detroit don't need him.
Who would we?
What, you like
Moose?
I don't like Musso, so maybe you think he's better than I do. I'm not.
Husso's not the guy though. It's going to be Casa. Casa's their goaltender of the future. Husso's just kind of the right now guy. I think Casa.
Yeah, honestly, I think
2 years out, maybe.
Yeah, but Detroit has a plethora.
I'm still against trading. I'm still out. I'm still not interested in trading Carter Hart. But if I was to even phone anybody about that, honestly, and Colorado's always in need of goaltending, I would have actually given them a ring. It's like, hey, listen, I know you need a goaltender because you got outed in the first round. So why don't you give me a call and why don't we talk this over a little bit? Like that actually would have been interesting because you might have actually been able to get a player out of them, a decent player too.
For me though,
because of course their salary cap situation and paying their players.
Yeah, but isn't Hellebuck's rumored to be going there?
Well, Hellebuck's still got one more year to play in Winnipeg.
He is, but at the same time, right?
Yeah, I know he's got another year, but Winnipeg is trying to trade him.
They are. He's demanded a trade. He doesn't want to stay in Winnipeg.
No, and I've heard the two most likely places are either Colorado or the Devils, God forbid. So let's get him over to Colorado.
And the Devils actually just traded one of their goalies today.
Please go to Colorado.
I know they
traded Blackwood to the Sharks.
Blackwood. Yeah, they also
which is a bad sign. That usually
they just got Foley too, by the way.
Oh boy,
it's
our
a
poor
bad
Penguins
sign.
guys getting roasted again.
Yeah, they just got Foley and they traded him for Sharon Govich. Is that the guy's name? Yeah,
Sharon Govich.
Yeah,
and a third round pick this year.
Yeah, that was.
Let's see.
Yeah, I was trying to think of an excuse to say that that's a bad trade, but I couldn't come up with anything bad about Toffoli. Toffoli is a good player, so
he's coming off a really strong year too. So I mean, I think it's
73 points.
But here's the thing though, Calgary's got to get Sharon Govich on a contract because I believe he's an RFA at beginning July 1st as well. I know he's at the end of his contract, so they got to get him.
I'm sure that's not going to be a problem because they had Calgary. It's not the money with Calgary. A lot of players just don't want to play in Calgary for whatever reason. Kind of like Winnipeg. I think it's considered purgatory for players in the NHL to go to Winnipeg or Calgary, to be honest with you.
A lot of the issues with Calgary over the last couple of years has been Daryl Sutter, but now that he's gone and they have what's his name? Rusika, I think, is their new head coach. I think he was assistant with their AHL team. With him taking over, I'm pretty sure that they'll be okay. A lot of players are starting to rescind their trade demands. So we'll see what happens. They're going to do a little rebuild. Kevin Conroy's already started that little rebuild, retooling, and I think Calgary's going to be fine in about a year or two.
And literally, I love how the whole crew, just everyone from all over the different, parts of the NHL here, all the different fandoms are just ganging up on the Penguins fan. It's hilarious to watch these comments.
I don't want a smelly bird. I don't want a smelly bird in Quebec. Send that penguin to Dallas.
Send that penguin to Dallas.
Yeah, you guys are great. I love these guys. I think these are the hot take hockey guys. These guys are awesome.
They are cool. John's saying, I love Hart, but he fits in perfectly at Edmonton. They don't have a first-round pick and any player they could give us.
I wouldn't.
You have to drag a third team into it if you're going to send him to Edmonton.
Maybe not.
Is there? I mean, obviously, we all know
if they're going to win, they have to get a first round pick for Hart. You have to get a first round pick for Hart.
Depends on who the player is. For me, I'm not going to entertain Edmonton because as much as they need a goalie, they don't have anything that I would sit there and be like, I need this guy to return.
Well, okay. Well, how about
honestly,
like
I would feel
Toronto?
I don't even know if Hart would thrive in Edmonton, to be honest with you.
Not with their defensive issues.
Toronto, you send him to Toronto for
yeah, I feel like Hart would
Nylander?
be in the same spot in Philly, just that he could make the playoffs. That's the difference. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, Toronto, that's an interesting proposition there.
Toronto might do that because I know they're going to have to move one of the members of that quartet that they've got. And I think Nylander is the one guy that probably would be the first one to go. I mean, if you're asking me, they're not going to get rid of Marner.
Yeah, I don't see them trading away Mitch Marner.
No, and they're not going to trade. They're not going to trade anybody else. I think Nylander, and they've always had a contentious relationship with them, the front office. So I'm thinking that Nylander might be the guy, and that would be a good trade because he's still a pretty young player. You could make him the captain of the team, and probably he could be the leader of the team. Yeah, that would really probably you'd have a lot of I think the fans would be into that. That's if you're going to trade Hart. If you must.
John, I think I will be too.
Trade.
And his new deal is just starting.
Although Ted did bring up the good point. Right. Ted did bring up a good point, though, about needing to trade him away now because he'll have a no-trade clause that kicks in. So, I mean, he's not wrong. Like, that is a major top priority. I mean, here's the thing. We said that we didn't use the buyout. Now, this is not what I would want to do, and this is an absolute desperate last resort thing you have to do because you don't want that no-trade clause kicking in. If you have to, that's the contract you buy out just because of the no-trade clause thrown in there. The only one that I would even remotely consider, but that's if you cannot get the deal done. That's if you have absolutely no other one. You've exhausted all resources. There's no team taking your phone call on him. You're like, we don't have a choice because I don't want that no-trade clause kicking in.
That has to happen by July.
Then you're
1st,
really
right?
screwed because then you got to. I mean, yeah, it's tough. They got to
Yeah,
do it. They got
they
to do
got
it.
yeah they're going to be working the phones. Well, I could see like Minnesota going for a guy like
Because
Sanheim. They could use a defenseman.
oh yeah, I mean maybe. Um, me Metal Mike saying so. Do we keep Hart at least? Trade everyone, tank for lots of picks, and use the Hawks motto at the moment. I mean, honestly, the Flyers are probably not going to be very high in the standings come this next year anyway. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that you need to tank. I think they already have a team that's good enough to tank at this point in time. Woolly's saying
Yeah,
if
I made
Ryan
the
Leonard is
argument
on board,
to keep him.
right. Woolly's saying if Ryan Leonard is on board at number 7, the Flyers have to draft him. So he's in Leonard camp on that one. By the way, welcome. He also says they can't draft the top defenseman at number 22. I'd be disappointed if we went defense at number 7. I mean, here's the thing. I feel like if the Flyers feel confident enough that the kid that they're getting at 7 is going to be the future, the future major player of the franchise, if that's the case, I would say you go for him. But I think the biggest problem that you run into is if you feel even slightly iffy on it, look at your options and look at what the best option is. Like look at it. It's like, well, is he the future? Maybe. Is he not the future? Okay, well, let's see what we got here. You have a position where you also, if you don't trade that other pick away, you have 2 picks. So that's also another thing as well. But yeah, I think that's what the Flyers really need. They need a guy to really kind of be that, okay, that's the new cornerstone for this franchise. That's what we're building around at this point in time. And we have players already that are working towards development. Let's see who can fit with him real well. That's what they really need to do right now to kind of give themselves that big shot in the arm. So they don't have it right now. Not to say that there isn't talent on this team. It's just that I don't think it's not the, big superstar talent. Not yet. Not yet. We don't know necessarily who's going to step up and be a major player in that way yet, but we also don't have that face right now. You could argue it's Carter Hart, but, that's it.
Oh man, we got a lot of draft talk in the chat. It's a good thing we're
Who has
talking
the
about that
best
tonight, huh?
roast so far?
Right. It's a good thing we're doing a draft show.
Uh-huh.
Who has the best roast so far for the Penguins for Brad? Oh, well, Brad, this is your comment, my man. Feel free to field them. Pick which one.
You mean to roast the Penguin fan?
Yeah, I was saying yes. You traded an average goalie in a rebuild. Yeah, who had the best comment on the roast?
Yeah. The best.
I
comment?
still don't think that Hart's an average goaltender, Liava.
So I mean, as far as the Penguins are concerned, they can go 0-82 and it wouldn't be enough. I want them to lose 10-0 every game and go 0-82, and Crosby to be hurt all season. That would be ideal for me. Because I truly can't. Ever since he almost took
Bully's
Mark
saying, I
McCo's
feel bad for Kevin
off.
Hayes. Management let him down.
Listen, Kevin Hayes is a big baby. Okay, every place he goes, he cries, and he ends up getting traded. He was playing for the Rangers, and he wouldn't park his fat ass in front of the net. So Vigneault wanted to trade him and the Rangers didn't want to re-sign him because he didn't want to put his fat ass in front of the net. So they trade him to Winnipeg, and then he's crying there because he's not getting enough playing time, and they put him on the power play. Then he goes and he signs with the Flyers, and he's crying because Tortorella wants him to play hard. Well, you know what? All I can say is, you weren't called Lazy Hazy you were called Lazy Hazy in New York for a reason. Okay, you were a dumb player. You're always going offside. You don't watch where your skates are. Okay, and I'm still mad at him for like 5 years ago when the Rangers tied a game against the Maple Leafs in the last minute of a game after pulling the goalie, and this idiot is standing right in front of the Maple Leaf bench, offside by about a foot, just standing there, not doing anything, not having anything to do with the play, and the Rangers score, and this idiot gets called for offside because Toronto challenged it. So that's where the lazy hazy stuff started coming in, and he always has been like that. He wants to hog the puck, skate around the net a couple of times, go full circle around and around the net. Like who used to do that all the time? Gardner used to do that all the time. Skate around, get the puck, and then skate around the net, and then skate around again and try to get open with the speed and then shoot. That's his thing. Except A, he's slow, and B, he's not a really great goal scorer. So never just worked for him.
Let's see here. Chris Dunn saying, "Sup, boys? Sup, Chris?"
Chris, it's been a while, my friend.
And me Metal Mike saying, "I don't see why people are hyping up Mishkov. I don't either. There's a lot of debate on him because of him staying in Russia. It's like, well, yeah, I get that he's like a really great player, supposed to be, but he's going to stay in Russia. It's like, what's the point of drafting him if he's not coming back? If he's not coming over, it's like, just let it go."
Matt, it's like the Cuban cigar syndrome.
The kid can play.
Yeah, but it's like the Cuban cigar syndrome. You couldn't if you
not saying he can't.
You couldn't sneak the cigar into the Cuban cigars into the country a while ago. Okay, this guy won't leave Russia, so.
It's not about him leaving Russia. It's about him being able to leave Russia freely.
Yeah, well, and if he leaves Russia, okay,
right?
They'll screw up with it. They'll mess around with his family, just like they threatened to do to Panarin when he denounced Putin a couple of years ago, and then he couldn't even go to practice because the Russian mob was looking for him.
Those magical allegations.
Yeah.
Those magical allegations of rape or something or a sexual assault, and he had to go to Russia to clear all that shit up. It's
and if he goes to Russia, they wouldn't let him out.
That's some Soviet Union shit right there.
Yeah, exactly. Just so typical. But yeah, I mean I wouldn't draft the guy.
He's saying you have Benson rated over Leonard.
They'll be able to work something out.
He's saying you have Benson rated over Leonard.
I do.
Right. Well, that's the debate: Benson or Leonard.
The only thing I don't like about Benson is that
going
he's
to be a great
small.
player, but Leonard has unlimited upside.
Yeah, but size these days, they don't. It doesn't really matter.
But the guys.
Anymore.
Yeah, but Benson is only 5'10", 159 pounds. I mean, that's a
Johnny
small
Gaudreau
player.
wasn't much bigger.
Yeah, okay, but is he really going to be as Johnny Gaudreau? I don't know. That's up for debate. I mean, listen, Matt Zuccarello is the same size, and Matt Zuccarello has been one hell of a player.
To me, it doesn't. What he does in his first couple of years doesn't really matter. It's all development. It's all getting him used to playing the NHL level and getting him ready, getting him to bulk up a little bit. Whether or not you see results from it, that's time to tell. It's just, I think Benson's going to be a great player. I think Ryan Leonard's going to be a great player. You can't go either way. You need a scoring winger, and both guys can be able to do that. It's just a matter of which guy do you think has the bigger upside in the long run?
I would take Leonard. I like guys that are big.
Chris Dunn is saying, is Chuck Fletcher related to Colangelo?
Colangelo.
Wooley's also saying Benson and Leonard are two guys I've kept my eye on. Any thought of Dalbar Dvorsky?
I don't know. Where do I have him falling?
Is he going to be a center or a right wing?
Center.
Ooh, he's going to be a center. I wouldn't mind having that. You know,
Flyers have way too many centers. They need to focus on natural
Yeah, but
wingers.
they need to get a true number one center.
They have
That's
that.
how you build your team. You gotta have that top pivot man. It's crucial. There's you have to have a goalie, then you have to have a top center, and then you have to build your defense. Wingers should be last on the list of guys you draft
The Flyers
when you're
have that number one
rebuilding.
center though.
Who
Sean Couturier.
is he going to play?
He wanted to play last year. He's going to play. It's his spot until he's not on the roster anymore.
Okay. Well, yeah, but
Well, he should be recovered from his injuries. He had the surgeries.
Yeah, but is he going to be? Is he going to be able? Does he fit their timeline as far as being able to contend? That's what I'd be more concerned about, to be honest with you.
They don't have a choice. He has a no movement clause.
Oh, geez, he does. Okay.
Well, the thing is, like Bryce said, no movement clause, and his contract's pretty hefty anyway. So it's even with the no movement clause, it's another one of those where he's got a pretty decent salary on top of it. So it's like it's not an easy thing just to move out, even if he didn't have one.
Well, and even still, like, why?
So let's see here.
He really is a true number one center, though.
Yeah, no. Listen, when he's healthy,
he is.
He's absolutely. I'm not arguing that. I'm just wondering if his timeline matches the rebuild. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, my argument for you guys keeping Hart is because his timeline matches your rebuild. I don't know that Sean Couturier, what is he, 29 now?
30.
30. Does it match?
He is 30.
Does it?
Okay.
Yeah, does that match the rebuild, though? That's the thing. What's he going to be like at 33? Because it's probably going to be... listen, next year is going to be a developing year. You know that. Following year, they should be able to start making some noise and looking like they could be a playoff team. And then year 3, they should be a playoff team. You would think that they would at least get to the wild card round by then. And that's what you got to look at. That's my opinion. I'm an outsider as far as the Flyer fan is concerned. So I'm just looking at it I'm trying to be pragmatic about it. Is that the right word?
I don't know. I don't even know the definition of pragmatic, so I'm going to take your word for it.
I got you. Pragmatic
Maddie's like, we're good.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to be realistic about it. I mean, listen, they could, for all I know, they could be close to making the playoffs next year and then get into be like a 4 seed in 2 years. Who know? We don't really know until we see what happens, what the result is of all this.
But to what Flyers fan 95 is saying, he's right. You bring Coots in for his leadership ability in the locker room and his leadership ability on the ice, because honestly there's nobody better in that locker room with the kids than Coots. He's been so good in so many different ways for this organization that you have to hold on to him. You have to let him fill out his role on this organization. A lot of people see him as the next captain. He could be. I think over the next year or two, we're going to really see whether or not he is truly the guy who deserves to be the next captain on this team and how he helps develop some of these players that he's going to be playing with. Is Noah Cates going to take the next step because Coots is here now? Is Morgan Frost going to take the next step for that same reason? We already know that he's one of the best two-way players in the league. Like, let's be real.
Always has been.
Mm-hmm.
As a rookie, if you remember, he was checking Crosby.
Mm-hmm. Shut down Malkin.
That's all. That's all you need to know about what kind of a player that guy was. It was with him. It was just a question of when he was going to start lighting the light, which he eventually started doing. So okay, that works then.
So let's see. John's saying if they are all in on a 2 to 4 years before we are there, trade Hart. Maybe we luck out and get the first pick next year for Celebrini. Hart is in the last year of his contract. Later round next year, goalie Olsen. Yeah, but here's the problem. What if that kid don't pan out in Olsen? You want him to, but you already know what you're getting with Hart. And you have the potential for him to do even better than he's already doing. Who knows if Olsen pans out? He could very well be a bust, and then you're fucked. You already have a proven goaltender. It's a foolish idea to be trading goalies away that have the talent to be a number one overall. It's a very foolish idea and foolish prospect because it will bite you in the ass. It's bitten the Flyers in the ass multiple times. Get wheeling and dealing their goaltenders. They got to get our heads out of that headspace because then we're back to Monday morning quarterbacking. And then we're fucked. I agree with you. Because what are we going to do?
I think it's a bad move to trade him. And I was arguing this last night. Rob and I had a little talk last night about hockey and about the Flyers, and I was arguing that I don't think they should trade him unless they get a trade that is something that they just can't pass up. I wouldn't trade him. He's still young enough to be in the rebuild. It doesn't matter if they're tanking. You still need to have a quality goaltender.
Remember,
and he's young enough to be here. If they take care of him financially, he can be here when they're good, when things turn around.
We said that Rob said this a couple weeks ago. One thing we got to remember with Carter Hart is Andrei Vasilevsky looked average when he first started with Tampa Bay, and then he hit 26, and now look at him. He's the best goaltender in the world. And I'm not trying to put Hart on that pedestal, but I'm just saying Hart hasn't even hit his prime yet. He's only 24.
Exactly.
And I know it's not I know like he's getting to that point where it's like we got to stop throwing the age out there. We got to stop throwing the age out there. But he hasn't hit his prime yet. If this rebuild doesn't take as long as people think, and I don't think it's going to, I think give him 2 years and they could be a playoff team again. Hart should be entering his prime.
That's the whole point.
He could turn into one of the best goaltenders in the league.
We
don't know because this team's defense is so inconsistent and they give up so many shots. He can only stop so many.
You're right. And don't forget, it's really hard to find a good goalie, a number one goalie, a franchise goalie. A franchise goalie is like a franchise quarterback in the NFL. They don't grow on trees. It's really hard to find them. I mean, you have to be very, very fortunate to be able to draft one and then become a franchise goalie. How many goalies get drafted and then become franchise goalies?
Well, let me ask this before I answer that. How many of these goaltenders have you seen that have been drafted within the same year or two as Hart? Guys like Jesper Wallstead, the kid in Detroit, Casa. He was just a couple years ago. These guys are pushing 20, 21, 22. They're still in the AHL. Hart was called up at 2021. There's got to be some kind of leverage here. Like
because
these guys are getting extra reps in development. Mm-hmm. So it's getting to the point where Hart's got more reps in the NHL, but he's also been in not the best situation either. So it's just
he got caught in a really bad situation. Actually, a lot of players got caught in a bad situation.
When he's on, he is on.
Yeah, and those kind of goalies. That's my argument. Those kind of goalies don't grow on trees. It's really hard to find a franchise goalie. You look at the NHL, and there's maybe 8 franchise goalies in the NHL right now. 8-9 franchise goalies. Okay, that's it. Okay, and there's 32 teams.
And maybe potential. And there's the potential of maybe 2 or 3 young prospect goaltenders that have the ability to achieve that level. 2 or 3 at best. That's normally how it goes.
You're talking about 64. You're talking about 64 goalies that are presently in the NHL right now. Okay, and each team that has a farm team
Right.
Has a farm team with 2 goalies on it. So that's 128 goalies, and there's maybe between 8 and maybe I'm going to say 10. Okay, maybe 8 to 10 franchise goalies out of 128 that are presently in the NHL or in the NHL farm team's top farm team. Okay, so you're talking about 128 goalies, and maybe 10 of them are franchise goalies. It's not that easy. That's what I keep saying. People who want to trade Hart, they don't get it. He's not an average goalie. He's a lot better than an average goalie. Okay, he faces way too many quality shots, and you're gonna have nights where you flub one, and then you get frustrated, and all of a sudden 2 more go in, and now all of a sudden you've given up 3 goals, and you're disgusted. And that's stuff that happens to goalies who are on bad teams.
Yeah, we love
that
it.
That doesn't mean that you can't think any less of him. The guy's a real solid player.
Right.
He's a solid goalie. I've seen him play when he's on. How about that one Ranger game when they played at the Garden? Okay, and he shut out the Rangers. The Rangers beat him in a shootout or in overtime or something like that. Remember that 1-0 game? We were on live during that game.
I think it was overtime.
Yeah,
and
overtime. He made 35 saves.
Yeah, it was an OT loss for the Flyers.
Yeah, I mean, come on, those kind of goalies.
Right.
Nobody. First of all, nobody drafts goalies number 1 anymore, except the Minnesota Wild. Okay, and usually they're 4th, 5th, 6th round picks. Nobody drafts them number 1 because it's so hard to find a goalie that's going to be a franchise goalie. Lundqvist was a 7th round draft choice. Remember Henrik?
Here's the thing too. Hart's the same goaltender. Here's a kid who walked into his first ever playoff series and he posted back-to-back shutouts against Montreal. And this is a guy who can play in the big game. He knows how to do it. He's been on a shitty team, and they have made it very clear to him he's on a shitty team. The poor kid's been left on an island more times than not. And you see it because it happens to the other goaltenders too. And the other goalies are not that bad. It's just that they get burnt too. It happens to all of them because it's the same consistent problem. The defense is shit. And it leaves the goaltenders out on an island.
Yeah, there's only
Hart's
so
a
many
great
times
goalie.
they can stop
It's
the puck.
not his fault the defense cannot perform for it.
No.
Yeah, he faces too many shots too, and that's a big thing.
And especially if Right.
His positioning is usually really good.
Devin Dixon, right.
And so is his side to side. So his post to post is usually pretty good as well. He puts himself in position to make the saves. Does he give up some softies? Of course, every goalie's gonna. Could his rebounding be better? Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes that comes from your defensive position too. But I mean, all in all, like this is coming from basically 2 people that don't exactly love the Flyers. Well, I know he hates the Flyers, but I mean, I like the Flyers. But yeah, I know you are. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like,
I don't allow my
hate. 2 guys who don't really root for the Flyers.
I don't allow my hate to skew my opinion. I still can be honest about it. I mean, I like that guy. I think he's a really good goalie.
Actually, yeah, LJ brings up a good point. His glove hand could be a little bit quicker. His glove hand the last couple of years has been a little slow.
Okay, but that's not something that's something he can be coached on doing.
Mm-hmm.
He can keep his glove up. He can hold his glove a little higher.
I thought his lateral movement last year was actually pretty good for the most part. I agree with his glove. His glove has got to be quicker.
So you carry it up higher.
Meanwhile, Rangers throwing another freaking gem.
And Swoopy saying all 3 of you guys nailed it with regards to the inconsistency of the Flyers' defense and Hart facing way too many shots. Now, well, Anthony's saying, what happens when he gets sick of carrying the Flyers and wants to leave to have a chance to win a cup? Listen, if he gets to that point, then the Flyers probably gave him no choice. But we'll see. We still have to put this whole new rebuild into effect because obviously with all the shit that happened over the last decade, it's now we're trying to untangle that whole thing. So we got to wait and see what the result of that will be. And we're not going to see the result of it next year. We're going to have to see the result of it as the years go a little bit further on.
Real quick, Maddie.
Let's see here. Benny's saying biggest problem is he drops too early and gets beat high. I can see, yes, he has a habit of doing that. He can make that mistake.
Yeah, but a lot of butterfly goalies do that too.
And that's kind of what I'm going to want to get into here real quick before we move on here is Carter Hart's, I don't want to say his downfalls. I want to say he comes up as, his technique just needs to be tweaked. And that's all coaching. That's stuff that coaches can do. And it's things that honestly, maybe he should have been in the AHL a little bit longer to kind of work on some of this stuff. But, the goaltender coach should be pulling him aside during practices and start really critiquing some of the little things that he's doing. All in all, I think Carter Hart's been fine. I thought he had a much better season last year than he had the year before. But again, it's the little things that he needs to fix. And I think he's going to be fine. I think, again, I think he is a franchise goaltender. The defense just needs to play better in front.
I think he's a franchise goaltender too. I mean, every time I've seen him play, I've always been impressed by the way he plays. He's solid. He is not the reason for the problem. Okay? He's not the cause. Okay? I think he could be the answer, not the question. I just think that you got to build around somebody. And if you have the goalie, at least you got that position settled. And then you start building inside out. You get yourself some really good defensemen so you can keep the score down. Okay? And you try to find yourself a really good center, which it looks like you have. You're saying Couturier, okay, I'll run with him as long as he can be on the ice and stay healthy. Then I'm willing to run with him. I'll take a shot with him. I mean, I know it's going to be a tough year next year.
Speaking of being on the, Yeah, and speaking of somebody who should be hopefully on the ice and healthy, Cam Atkinson, will he play next season? He should be able to play next season. He too had his injury problems that kept him off the ice. I do believe, did he play late last season or did he stay off the ice?
He stayed off the ice. He was about ready to come back, and then he
stayed off the ice.
Had a setback.
That's right. So, yeah, we'll see Cam Atkinson hopefully next season, and hopefully Cam will have a good, strong year coming up, and we'll be ready to go. Yeah, Lily, I was saying, if he is a franchise goalie, that franchise ain't winning nothing. Well, guess what? We'll find out if he is, but at the same token, we haven't won with our Monday morning quarterbacks either. So, you know what? Even so, we haven't won shit in a long time. All right, so time to move on.
For those of you who want to pick on Carter Hart, who would you like to have? just asking.
Actually, sure. Go ahead, Lily.
Go ahead.
Throw it out there. Who do you think would be a better choice?
Yeah, go ahead. Make a suggestion who you want to get, and we'll sit there and tell you how do you plan on getting him.
And then while we wait, I'm going to just say what's up to John's son, Jacob. What's up, Jacob?
Hey, what's going on, Jake? And let's see here. Typical Canucks Dork 666 says, we haven't won a cup in Vancouver. No, that's true. And you guys have Roberto Luongo, who is arguably one of the best goaltenders of his generation. So that's a tough one.
They have some players, too.
They did.
They do now.
And we move forward on here.
They still have some talent on their team.
Yeah, they have a couple. Well, the depth isn't there. That's the issue. I think Tocchet's going to help with that, though.
Yeah, they need some role players, some good, solid role players, and they aren't expensive type of players. You can find decent third and fourth line players in free agency.
I mean, we'll see with the first full season with Tocchet, so we'll see what he does with that team.
I guarantee you they'll be a better defensive team.
They need to be.
Yeah, I think they will be.
Lilyava saying, doesn't matter, it's a rebuild. He is not here yet. On that note,
Come on
we
now,
move on.
that's cheating saying that.
He's not wrong though. LJ's not wrong.
I understand that, but you're screaming about Carter Hart. Who is it that you'd want? Who is it that you'd want to replace him? You think they're just going to by magic draft another franchise goalie? It's not. It's been a problem for a lot of teams for a long time. You may go through a lot of goalies before you find one as good as Carter Hart.
So let's see here, guys. Let's jump into our NHL Draft preview. But fam, keep the comments rolling in, and we'll jump into basically what we got here for the picks in the first round, of the 32 that will be popping up here. We'll see what they look like and what the most likely of the choice is. Obviously, we know the number one pick is going to the Chicago Blackhawks, and we don't even need to debate on who they're grabbing. They're grabbing Connor Bedard. At number 2, obviously, Brian's Duckies, they have the opportunity to grab Adam Fantilli in Michigan. So I just want to throw this out to you, Bryce, since this is with your team. Do you see them putting him in a Ducks jersey, or do you think that they keep him? Well, hold on. Is he a senior in Michigan?
I think he'll be a junior. I think he's 19. He's either 19 or 20.
Okay, do you think he goes back to Michigan, or do you think that they...
I mean, he could always play in the if he makes the AHL, he could always play there to start.
All right, so the rumor is, and I haven't heard any confirmation on it, freaking Bohm just missed the cutter. So the rumor is he goes back to Michigan, which it's not really all that great. But it's not bad either, because I truly believe this kid is NHL ready now. But if he wants to spend another year trying to develop his skill and hone his game in a little bit, I'm not going to be upset about that. I'd rather him hone it in Michigan, playing with other collegiate prospects who are also NHL ready. Ups the competition. With the AHL, I don't see the AHL competition being that much better than playing in college. But I mean, I'd rather him play in Michigan than playing in San Diego. That way he'll get the full year to develop and take the next step forward versus the AHL. I'm good with it.
Typical Canuck store saying, is Gibson the greatest goalie for the Ducks as an overall franchise goaltender?
No, that's Jay Shiger. He's not only won a Conn Smythe for a losing team, but he's also responsible for bringing the only Stanley Cup to Anaheim. So Jiggy, and then I would probably put Guy Hebert, and then I would probably put Jonathan Gibson.
And Devin saying, Sanheim for Jake Sanderson, 1-for-1. Well, that would depend on the contract, really. That's what would be the ultimate selling point for me on that, if the team's willing to trade.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Thrashers Forever Fan 2000 saying, how about the Hershey Bears being the best overall AHL franchise team? I mean, I'm not surprised. Hershey Bears have been around for quite some time. And they've been around, God, since the 60s, I think. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they're one of the older franchises in the AHL.
Yeah. So hey, congrats to the Hershey's Bears
Who
organization.
are they? They're Pittsburgh's.
It's
team, right?
A lot of times
Washington.
AHL teams, they pick up and they move almost all the time. But...
Yeah.
No, Washington.
Yeah, they. I mean, Hershey's been around forever, and that's honestly good. They have some good prospects down there. I think.
Did you see Pelon's kid was down there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. our boy Garrett Pilon was down there, and he had a very good series.
He
So
needed one.
I certainly hope I'm rooting for him. I mean, Richie is great. I love Richie,
Nice.
and I hope Garrett does get his chance next year with the Capitals. I think he will. I think they're going to give him a shot because the Capitals definitely need some youth on that team. They're
Chris
too
Dunn
slow.
saying Goldberg was the best goalie for the Ducks.
I don't know. Julie the Cat, I mean, she won the shootout in the second movie, and she was the goaltender in the third one. Although Goldberg
The Goldberg
did
beat
have
Iceland.
the winning goal, so good for him.
I thought Goldberg. Yeah, didn't Goldberg beat Iceland?
No, he beat the varsity team in the third one.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right. You're right.
And let's not forget, he also won the Pee Wee Championship.
That's Pee Wee. No, because he gave up 4 goals in that game, and Charlie won that.
Hey, he didn't cost them the game though. They still won.
Yeah.
All right. So, Flyers fan 1995 saying this was the anniversary for both Calder Cups with the Phantoms, and also we might be seeing the purple Philadelphia Phantoms jersey as an anniversary alternate this season. That'd be nice. That would be nice to see. Dylan saying hoping to have the Flames make another trade and acquire another first rounder for Hanifin before the draft tomorrow night. Be interesting to see if they can pull it
First rounder
off.
for Hanifin?
It's possible.
No.
26 years old, top defensive pairing. Somebody will pay a first rounder for him.
I don't think that he's that he's all that great though. Just because he's a top pairing on that, I don't think he's necessarily the goods. You put him on a different team, I don't think he's the goods. I've never been a big fan of his anyway.
We'll see. We'll find out for sure because Hanifin is
So
going to
let's
get
see
traded.
here. Moving
Oh,
on,
yeah,
we
he
go
is.
to
He is.
number 3. Let's see here. Columbus Blue Jackets at number 3. Leo Carlsson at center, playing for Orbro in the SHL. I love that name, Orbro. Great. But Leo Carlsson, obviously, he's going to be something to watch.
Is Killer Carlson his dad?
I don't
From
know that. Doesn't
Slapshot?
say anything about that.
Oh, okay.
No, doesn't say anything about Killer Carlson being his dad. I mean, if he is,
Oh, okay.
congrats. I mean, that's a very honorable
Yeah, there you
bloodline
go.
right there.
I'm
Let's
sorry,
see
I had to
here.
revert to that.
No, it's respectable. I understand. Number 4, the Sharks, who they're saying will be Will Smith at center for the United States National Development Team. That would be great because he's a really good playmaker, and the Sharks really need some youth to really rally around, and they could get him and put him working with Logan Couture when the time comes, have him work with Hurdle. I think that he could definitely benefit playing for the Sharks and kind of get that new, okay, let's build around this kid environment for the Sharks because they need it after basically saying, yeah, we're blowing it up. Although they got to trade Carlson. That's going to be interesting. There's been a lot of talk about that trade going on.
What about Michkov?
Let's see here. So far, well, he's actually up next at number 5. They have Montreal looking at him. So that would be interesting. Do you think that Montreal
I thought he might go number 4, but again, I guess the problem with Russia letting him out might be a problem. Could cause him to drop too.
The reason why a lot of people don't have him in the top 10 or in the top 5.
Right. I mean, it's interesting. It'd be interesting if Montreal decides to do that. Number 6, Arizona. Axel Sandin Peleka, playing for Skellefteå. And, with Arizona blue lining, I mean, honestly, I think they should focus on getting some defensemen. They have been picking a lot of forwards in their recent drafts, so they kind of want to build up some defense prospects. But the other issue too is Arizona even going to be in existence after this pick is made? That's a big question we have to ask ourselves, don't we?
It's always a question.
Yeah.
Dylan did say Mishkov met with the Flyers today. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the Flyers should do their due diligence on Mitchkov. The kid's going to be a player. It's just the question is, when is he going to come over?
For the question from Thrashers fans saying, is anyone in the WHL interesting? Well, obviously, Bedard is representing the WHL. The next one is at number 7 for the Flyers. They have Zach Benson going to the Flyers, and he would be representing the WHL for Winnipeg. I'm not against getting Benson. I get the size thing, but at the same time, I do like his skill. And I wouldn't mind having that. I'm not saying that the Flyers don't have young players with the skill upside, but it's interesting whether you go with Leonard or you go with Benson. I really wouldn't mind them going after Benson, honestly.
Well, I believe somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Zach Benson led the WHL in scoring.
I do think he did.
So that's intriguing to me as well.
I mean, do you think there's any chance they possibly would take a guy like Dvorsky? I mean, Dvorsky's big. He's a big boy. I always like size. If you're fast and you have size at age 18, you're going to be a brute out there, and that's always a good thing. Get that Brady Kachuk player in there, because that's what he seems to be.
Well, I could see somebody like Dvorsky going to Montreal or Arizona because they need big centers. Montreal did just pick up that big scoring winger last year in Slavarsky, or however you say his last name, the big Russian kid that they took number 1 overall.
Right.
I could see one of those two going for it, but again, like I would rather not see the Flyers go after another center. They have a ton of them. They need some natural wingers.
Leonard's a center
Benson.
Too. Benson can play all 3 positions though.
He can, but he's a natural left winger. That's his natural position. A lot of the guys that I have in my mock draft here, the majority of them are going to be centers, and it makes sense. But I think where I have them is going to make more sense for some of these players moving forward. Like Montreal, I have Montreal taking a defenseman at 5.
Which one? Revenbacher?
Yeah, Reinbacher. Yeah.
So here,
they need defensive help.
At number 8, they have him going to Washington.
Okay.
So I have, and this, by the way, this mock draft is Yahoo Sports. So
yeah, so I actually have Mitchkov going to Washington. I think that's a better fit for him. They need a scoring right winger, and having Ovechkin, I think is going to make his transition a lot easier into the NHL. And Washington is just starting to rebuild, so they don't have to rush.
The reasoning behind, right, and the reasoning behind this is they're thinking that Reinbacher could secure the blue line a little bit more and allow for it to have a stronger defensive posture for the Washington Capitals. Dylan saying, my only worry, and this is for obviously Mishkov, is that he suffers a major injury over there and can't come to the team healthy. I could understand that fear. It's a very understandable fear. Flyers fans saying, imagine we draft both Benson and Leonard. Well, that would be interesting. What's up, Bryce? who's popped in here. He's saying, good to see us blowing it up. He also says, let me make a good pick. And of course, he says, yo, guys. And Don, of course, he's been talking about how Hart's a solid goalie and he wants to bring him to Detroit. I love how Don's trying to make that, will that into existence.
Don, you got Casa, bro. You're going to be fine.
And Devin saying, is Samuel Girard a franchise? Top 2 minutes. Interesting.
He's pretty good.
He's asking if we wonder if we trade Hart. I won't, but honestly, Girard, yeah. Honestly, though, I wouldn't trade Hart. Yeah, I wouldn't, but, the Brad did bring up a good point. If the trade is so nice that you can't really pass it up, I understand, but I still wouldn't want to do it. And Flyer saying, which prospects names could fit for the Flyers in terms of hockey names? Well, I mean, good hockey names? Well, there's a few. There's a few on this list, actually.
A lot of them on this
And
list.
let's see here. The Red Wings, they have them taking Doubt for Dvorsky here. So that would be interesting.
Yeah, mine.
And then
which
at
is
number 10,
Tankathon,
St.
has
Louis,
Dvorsky
they have
has
St. Louis
Reichenbach
taking
in it.
Ryan Leonard.
This delay is hurting my brain.
Interesting.
Mine is showing Oliver Moore.
I know.
I mean, Oliver Moore is another one that people are expecting to be a top 10 pick.
That's the top 10 of what the mock draft here from Yahoo Sports has.
This is the one that I made. Just because I thought this would be more fun, a little bit more authentic than
I got
blowing
you,
somebody else's
yeah.
up. So obviously I got Connor Bedard going number one.
I
with
was
Chicago.
just throwing out for us to compare.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I kind of expected somebody to do that. So I got Bedard going 1, Fantilli going 2 to Anaheim. I got Carlsson going 3 to Columbus, which I think is pretty much a consensus moving forward. Maybe you swap Carlsson and Fantilli, but San Jose, I have taken Will Smith at 4. I think they need a nice, young, strong center, and I think Will Smith is going to be able to do that. Creative with the puck, great skaters, huge scoring upside. For me, Montreal, it's got to be Reinbacher for Montreal here. They've got a lot of young guys on the offense, and who do they really have that's young and good on the defensive side? You go after, so now at number 5, you're going to go out and you're going to get the best defenseman in the draft in David Reinbacher. At 6, I got Arizona taking Dilbert Dvorsky. They need a big centerman. They don't really have one, and now that they got a threat of losing Clayton Keller due to whatever the hell is going on in Arizona right now with that organization and that dumpster fire.
What isn't happening in that organization is the question.
Fair. So I have them taking Dvorsky. At 6, I got Benson going to the Flyers at 7. I got Matvei Michkov going at 8 to Washington. I just think that move just makes so much sense. Axel Sandin, Pelika, I got going number 9 to Detroit. They need somebody to partner up with Cedar there, and I think this kid could be it. And then I got Tom Willander, defenseman, going to St. Louis because St. Louis needs to get a little bit younger on the blue line as well. Plus, they got 3 picks in the first round. St. Louis does, so I could see them going defense first and then filling out the forwards and with their second 2 picks later on in the first round. So that's what I got my top 10.
All right. Before we dive into Brad's mock draft there, we'll jump into the second period, and then there's a couple comments we'll get to here. But before that, jump into the second period here. Brought to you by All Campus OC. If you're ever down in New Jersey or up in New Jersey and you want to head on down to the shore, go on down to Ocean City and check out All Campus. Say hi to John Coyle running that nice shop over there on the boardwalk. He's giving 20% off of everything in the store, including hats and shirts to all A2D subscribers. So if you get subscribed up and you let him know, you get that 20% off. So you get some nice team colors, some nice team merch for a little bit of a discount there. And also check out the ramp booth. John runs it from the shop out there, and it's a good time. So say hi, visit the shop, get yourself some nice gear, check out the ramp booth. And also for the first period, if you're looking to sell a home or you have a change of career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy, eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit them at alan.foy@exprealty.com. Big move when you want to head either, like in Bry's case, head back to New Jersey, or if you're planning on selling your home and moving into a new home, or you're changing careers. Very, very difficult stuff, not easy to do, but Alan Foy's the guy to go at the end of the day. So go to him, and he'll make sure it's taken care of properly. On to that, I believe it's time for us to jump in. And dive into a couple of these comments here before we go to Brad's top 10 mock draft that he has. And DeMeo, what's up, brother? Saying, what's up, guys? This may be the most important Flyers draft in the last 30 years. It's good to finally have a GM willing to be creative and try to make moves. Can't wait to see what happens tomorrow. That's what I like to hear. Have a positive attitude going into tomorrow. Swoopy saying, Brian, does Oliver Moore fit the man all out, a very aggressive style of hockey that the Hurricanes play? Of course, we won't get to them, but just wondering if he is a player that fits and plays that style of hockey, being a very incredible skater.
Don't know. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. I mean, I know Oliver Moore is probably not going to last that far, but I mean, a lot of players, a lot of people have him not even getting out of the top 15. So I don't know. I mean, if you don't think he's going to get to the Hurricanes, it doesn't matter whether or not he can fit that system or not anyway.
And Devin saying Dallas will have a franchise center, Wyatt Johnson. And Dev Els Kings fan saying Delaware Shore is better than Jersey Shore, but best is Outer Banks. I will leave that up for the fam to discuss that one.
I would disagree strongly.
No, I would agree. It's Outer Banks and then the Jersey Shore for me, and then I've never actually been to Delaware Shore, but I'll rank that third. Why not?
Delaware Shores are nice, but I like the Jersey Shore. I've never been to the Outer Banks, so I can't make an honest opinion.
I've been to both, so I can honestly say the Outer Banks.
I mean, Outer Banks has a certain charm to it from what I've heard.
I mean, it depends on what you go to the shore for. Do you go for the boardwalk and walking along the beach, or do you just go to sit and, you'd rather just kind of just sit and chill and just relax on it? It all depends on what you like to do. For me, I like to sit on the beach, though. For me, it's just going to the Outer Banks is better. It's not as crowded, believe it or not, and you don't have to worry about the boardwalk. It also depends on which shore point in New Jersey you go to, too. So some are better than others.
And me, Metal
The
Mike
shore
saying
we
Coyotes
have,
moved to Wilmington, Delaware.
there's a boardwalk, but nobody walks on it. I mean, there's no stores on the boardwalk. People just use it to ride bikes and walk.
Well, that's completely different.
Yeah, and it's not terribly crowded either. Because everybody goes to the Atlantic City beaches, or they go to Margate, because Margate is, very hoity-toity. So
yeah.
Me, Mel, Mike saying Coyotes moved to Wilmington, Delaware, and become the Wilmington Green Roosters, and the Penguins moved to the Central. Mark it down. It's been predicted.
There you go. What about the
Anthony
Delaware
saying
Coyotes?
New Jersey is crap.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
Ocean
And then he
Ocean
also goes
City
on to say, I go to Ocean City, Maryland.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All the bars down there. I get it. You can go to Wildwood too. You don't have to go all the way down to Ocean City.
Wildwood sucks.
Yeah, but there's a lot of bars down there.
That's true. You want to go to a good bar? Go to Seattle City. Seattle City's got a couple good ones.
So we're saying, Brian, I asked about Oliver Moore because I want the Flyers to get those type of players and become that style of team the Hurricanes play.
No, they're not going to because it's not Rod Brindamore head coaching the team. They're going to play John Tortorella's system. So it doesn't really matter.
Now, John Tortorella's system isn't all that much different than Rod Brindamore's.
It's
Rod
different.
Brindamore has better players right now.
I mean, a good skater is going to help, but Oliver Moore is not a top 10 player. I'm sorry. Taking Oliver Moore at 7 is going to be a reach. He's going to be anywhere between 12 to 15 is going to be a good spot for Oliver Moore.
Yeah, I don't have an error either.
Ted saying, any chance you guys do a live draft show? Unfortunately, no. Sorry, Ted.
We want to, though.
Yeah, would have been nice, but it is what it is.
I got to work, so I'm not even going to be able to give a reaction to any of these draft picks.
He also said he wanted to get your reaction when the Ducks took Michkov at 2.
Oh, boy.
Anthony's saying all of Jersey smells like someone took a big dump.
It's not true. It's only North Jersey.
It's only exit 13 to be really if you want to get picky. And Secaucus too.
I've never been to Secaucus, so I don't know. But I know it's North Jersey.
Well, you know the old joke. You know, the girl says to the guy, "Kiss me where it smells." So he goes and he throws her in the car, and they drive to Secaucus.
Oh, ew. That's a shame. That's a shame.
That's funny.
That used to be the old Secaucus joke.
Which is really funny because that's where the NHL network, the NFL network, and the MLB network all are. That's crazy.
Yep.
Man, y'all ain't giving the Ducks any
What
love.
does that tell you?
Y'all think they're
Says
going
a
to
lot,
mess up the
doesn't
number
it?
2.
Yeah, when the wind blows correctly in
Apparently.
in Secaucus, you can smell the dirty diapers all the way to Rutherford.
Oh, now they're ripping the Ducks. How do you slap a duck on the ice? You give him a dead penguin and shovel him to Boston.
That's kind of
So
funny.
it's both a Ducks jab and a Penguins jab and a Boston jab all rolled up into one. I like it. Well done.
That's good, though. I like that one. I got a good chuckle out of that.
Yes.
So
If the Ducks,
before
throw in the number 2 pick, I swear to God, I'm going to retire from everything hockey.
Oh boy.
Oh, John, that's accurate.
Next up, I mean, hey, depends on what you like to do, really. Once that bedroom door closed, who the hell's gonna know?
You, her,
So, gentlemen,
and God.
number 22, just wow. Don't say it. He might show up. Don't say it. You know he's a routine watcher of this show.
Hey, listen, I'm good with it. Come on, God. Where you at?
Oh boy. He could be anywhere.
So, right. Omnipresent. So at number 22, just wanted to bring this up real quick because that's the other Flyers pick. They have them taking Callum Ritchie, which is a centerman from Oshawa. And he was predicted to be a top 10, but he fell out. But anyway, that's just to throw that out there to round that all up. So now we go to Brad, your top 10 on your mock draft.
Okay, and I even have one for the Rangers too.
Okay, then go right ahead.
Okay. Number 1, Bedard goes to Chicago. Number 2, Fantilli goes to Anaheim. Carlsson goes to the Blue Jackets. Smith goes to San Jose. Bichkov is going to end up in Montreal. Zach Benson is going to end up with the Arizona Coyotes. I think the Flyers are going to take Leonard. I think he's the best choice for them. He's got some size, and he's definitely got the ability to be a very good player. And you know what? I know he's going to Boston College. Boston College has always been real good for hockey players. Just ask Kevin Hayes, ask Johnny Gaudreau, and ask Chris Kreider. They all went to that. They all went there, and they all starred there. So
Yeah,
I think he'd be. I think that's a college that develops young talent real well. And don't forget, when the college season's over, you can bring him in.
Carter Gauthier is playing in Boston College right now as well. So if they do wind up going with Ryan Leonard, which, again, I'm going to stress this, you can't go wrong with either Leonard or Benson. You're going to win either way with either pick. You're going to already have that chemistry between Carter and Ryan Leonard there as well too. So that's another plus.
The only reason I don't like Benson for the Flyers is because I'm not crazy about small players. That's the only reason. I just think in tight checking games they tend to disappear, and that's maybe I'm picking on tight small players because of Panarin. You know, it's close to the heart. You know, but that's part of it. It's just that it seems like they don't show up well in close checking games. So that's just an opinion. That doesn't mean I'm right. Number eight will be for the Capitals. I'm thinking they're probably going to get Dvorsky because you know how they love big guys. That's a team that feasts on big players. I have Detroit picking Brian Backer as a defenseman, and I like Wylander for the Blues. I think they definitely need to get younger on the back line, and I think he'd be perfect for them. And as far as the Rangers are concerned, I have a couple of guys. Okay, I like Quentin Muskie, even though he's a left wing. He's 6'2", 190 pounds at the age of 18. That's a good thing. I really like that. And Daniil Boot, who's big boy, 6'5", 203, another wing, 203 pounds already. I want the Rangers to get some size, and I think either one of those two would be perfect.
Yeah, if you want to get bigger, those two guys are definitely going to make you bigger.
I want some big players on the team. I think the Rangers are too small. I really do, and I think we need some real hulking men up front, who can stand in front of the net and not be removed so easily, and drive the goaltenders crazy. And that's what I would go after. And they'll be there at 23. I have no question. There's no question about that. By the way, number 22 for the Flyers, Otto Stenberg.
I've seen him being possibly taken at 22 as well.
Yeah, I could see them. I could see them getting him. He seems to be very popular in that spot.
So interesting. All right, then. So that's the mock drafts that was built up from the top 10s. By the way, Anthony also went on to say, what does the Rangers and the Islanders have in common? They both suck. Typical Canucks dork, 666 says, you tell the local Ducks fan that the Canucks will give you a cooked goose as long as that duck becomes our AHL team, the Regina Rubber Ducks. So, okay. Question, gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
Would it be unethical if the AHL decided to call the team in Regina the Regina Vagina, but spell it Vegina instead of spelling it the way you normally spell
it? Yes. I'm going to say yes.
The logo would be a
yes.
V. It wouldn't even be it wouldn't be a lady. It wouldn't be anything classless. It just be a V. That's all it would be.
I feel like that would turn into like an episode, that one episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh
I
boy.
I really do. I feel like that would turn into that one episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where Doris Roberts' character goes into sculpting and calls herself a lesbian because she sculpted out that.
Dude, I could see that character. I could see that character doing something like that too.
Oh my gosh, she was the best.
Yes, he was. And what Frank was pretty good too, by the way.
Oh, he was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's see here. Penguin God Crosby fan 100. You have the Duck and the Penguin gang up, peck out the Broad Street Bullies' eyes, and then poop all over the Rocky statue. Be a
Well, I
little
have to agree
hard
with
since
that.
Penguins can't fly. The Duck could do it though.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that to the Rocky statue, though. I love the Rocky statue.
Most people do. Larry saying Cutter 2, obviously referencing the Boston College lineage there. Elnor Deek 76 saying, I like my Ducks swimming in a pond full of disappointment, although nothing better than watching a penguin flop its mouth and get nothing in return. Or flap its mouth and getting nothing in return.
It happens more often than not.
Well, you know what
And then
the Connecticut whale.
Devils Kings fans
Would-
saying,
would
you
eat
see,
a-
this is
would
why
eat a
no one
penguin."
roasts the Devils, because penguins
Mhm.
can't ever be on fire.
Well, there's no
That's
reason to
true.
roast the Devils because actually, you know, there's only maybe 5 or 6 people that are Devil fans in the world. The rest of them are Ranger fans who gave up on the Rangers and jumped ship.
I would say, I mean, you could always just throw the holy water on the devil, and I think that would roast it pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we could get somebody from the Angels to come in and
Probably
and
would.
fix them.
That's what, yeah.
Oh, Mike Trout?
Yeah, send Mike Trout over.
Since ever... It'll
The
glow.
next time, the next time the Flyers play the Devils, bring Mike Trout with you. Have him wear his Angel hat.
He'll come with a gold encrusted bat and have white like grips at the bottom
Yeah.
of the bat, and he'll have a halo over him and
Yes.
wings shooting out.
Yes, and that big cross in the front.
Yeah.
Come on.
And then he can yell at them, "May the power of Christ compel you." That was The Exorcist, remember?
Just see devils just literally melt right there.
Yes, there
Yeah.
you go.
Oh, good pitch.
Let's see here. Flyers fan 1995 saying, so then why does your star player keep slipping on the ice? And he also says, I'd say he's fit for the banana jersey circus in a Devil's uniform. Huh. And Anthony saying, what do you call a smashed duck? Duck hunt? Ted also says, okay, that's your mock draft. Now, give is the real life one. What's going to happen?
Nobody knows.
Oh, so give us the real life one. Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, the top 3 should be pretty much, well, top 4 actually should be pretty much the real deal. After that, well, we'll see. Teams might get cute. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, you could have people trading in it. Who knows?
Yeah, we literally have no idea. I mean, look at last year. Shane Wright was supposed to be the consensus number 1 overall, and he dropped to what, 5?
Yeah, and by the way, how many games did he play for Seattle last year?
Not many.
Yeah.
They sent him back down to the AHL because he took 10 games to score his first NHL goal. Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
And he had an
Okay.
attitude problem, too.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, boy, here we go.
So Leafs Sens fan says, so what does a limp Crosby and a Rubik's Cube have in common? It doesn't take much for Smelly Penguin to get lost in Canada.
Oh, wow.
That's
Hey, let's see here. Depressed Oilers fans say, The rest Oilers fans saying, surprised no one's throwing shots at Toronto. Well, it would have to be half-hearted ones. You have to throw a half-ass joke at them. And the reason why is because they managed to get out of the first round, but then they pissed away a golden opportunity by losing to the Panthers in 5 games. So you have to half-ass the comment in order for it to truly hit home here.
Yeah, and their goalie stunk, by the way, in that playoff series.
All right, then.
Yeah, he did. Ilya Samsonov was not good in that series.
No, he cost them the series.
So what we're saying is
question.
the only What we're saying is that the only reason why Toronto got out of the first round was because Vasilevsky didn't feel like going out of the first round this year. That's the only reason why. So congrats to Toronto's fans. You caught Vazzy on a lazy year.
Yeah, he was in a rush to get to the golf course.
Yeah.
Stamkos also decided he needed.
All right. We move on to. Right. So on to the third period we go, gentlemen. And the third period sponsor, FanUp, the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. If you're out there in the fantasy world, doing a little bit of that MLB action that they have out there. They have daily MLB contests and more. You can win great prizes if you sign up today and use the promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points, a $50 value. Just go to fanup.app and they'll take care of you there. And yeah, $50 saved, 5,000 bonus points. That's not a bad deal. That's just for signing up with A2D. Before we dive into the state of the Flyers and we want to dissect anything else major that's been going on with the organization, we'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll dive headlong into the Flyers and see the state that they're currently in and talk a little bit more about what's been going on. But until then, here's a quick
Birds
little commercial.
fans, the NFL schedule has arrived and Philly Sports Trips has all the details now. Visit the site phillysportstrips.com. This is sure to be an epic season. Be sure to go there now to make sure that you don't get shut out. Join us in Tampa, LA, Seattle, or when we get revenge in Kansas City. Don't want to fly? No problem. Gather up your crew and hop aboard one of our signature boisterous bus trips to DC or New York. Sign up now and make sure to mention A2D. Don't miss out on the best Philly fan experience anywhere. Philly Sports Trip customers always stay at the best hotels and meet NFL legends. Book today.
Yeah, so definitely if you want to get in on some really fun trips with some fellow Eagles fans for the coming season, Philly Sports Trips, Philadelphia 5for5 Sports Travel Company, premium travel tailgating experience for the passionate fans of Philadelphia. And you see the website there for www.phillysportstrips.com. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. If you're an Eagles fan, why not go to the game, tailgate with your fellow Eagles fans, head on down to an opponent's rival stadium and take it over? What's a more Philadelphia thing to do than that? Probably scare the shit out of the fans coming into Philadelphia. But anyway.
And then also on top of that, you're gonna be hanging out with some former Eagles players. I know Quentin Michael is going to be a part of one of the trips. Hollis Thomas, I think, is a part of most of them, who you can catch on Vetted every Thursday afternoon now. Hollis Thomas and Irving Fryer, which is, if you haven't watched it, you should. It's a really entertaining show. I'm not just saying that. Like, I thoroughly enjoy listening to those two guys going back and forth talking about the things that they talk about, which is pretty much all of Philly sports. Not a shameless plug for them, but they really do a good job. But yeah, it's a good time, and
Yes.
I've looked at them all. There's all kinds of perks for each city that they're going to, so definitely check them out.
Absolutely. And it will be a great time for anyone who wants to sign up. So definitely do that. Meet some NFL legends. I almost said NHL. Meet some NFL legends and catch a game with your fellow Eagles fans in a rival stadium. All right. And we move forward. So the state of the Flyers. And we do have some comments here. Mimona saying, what would a penguin and a duck do at Hooters? Good question. Email Mike also says Blackwood trade thoughts and also Kings trade thoughts. Well, obviously Dubois going to the Kings, and Blackwood going to the Sharks. My opinion of the Blackwood deal is I think that's a sign that the Devils might be getting pretty close to getting Hellebuck, because they're moving a goalie out to bring a goalie in. That's what my thoughts on that trade are. For the Sharks, it's fine getting Blackwood. They're still in rebuild mode, so Blackwood should be all right. I think he'll be able to stay consistent. And, I mean, I would say that this will make the Sharks competitive. It won't. So, really, if anything, I think it's just so that the Devils can make sure they get Connor Hellebuck. I think that's what this trade's all about.
Yeah, for me with the Blackwood trade, it's saying that Vanacek and Schmidt are going to be the guys in New Jersey. I'm not necessarily sure if it's going to be for Hellebuck though. That's still to be determined. But I think for right now, it's Vanacek and Schmidt, and taking Mackenzie Blackwood out of the rotation there is going to allow them to get more ice time, because I thought both Vanacek had a good first round. I thought Schmidt had the better second round for the Devils in the playoffs. But it's a huge upgrade for San Jose, a goaltender. They needed one, and they got one. Now it's just if Mackenzie Blackwood can find that form he had when he first came into the league. So hopefully he can find that, and I think San Jose found their future goaltender, at least for the time being, for the next 4 or 5 years at least. And Dubois, they way overpaid for him.
Not to mention how much they're paying for him. They're paying his salary. Boy, oh boy, what, $8.5 million a year?
Yep, over 8 years.
So that's $84 million for 8 years. Well, that's a lot of cabbage.
Yeah, I'm good with that. They can pay him that.
That is all right.
I mean, Dubois not bad, but he's not worth 8.5 a year.
No, I think he's very good.
Oh.
And I think he could be. I don't think we've seen some of what he can really do. I think he's got better things coming to him, but I don't know that he's that kind of a player.
I don't think he is, but that's just me.
Yeah. As far as the Blackwood trade, Brian, I'm pretty much with you on that. I don't know. I mean, I think the Devils are definitely going to take their shot with Hellebuck for sure. But I think they got rid of Blackwood because right now the two goalies that you mentioned are their two goalies right now, and they probably want to try to develop some kids down in the farm and not have a veteran. And I think that's what it is right now.
Man, I mean, it could be. I mean,
Now, if they get Hellebuck, then that's fine. That could very easily happen, and Schmidt could go back down to the minors.
it could.
You know, I mean, because he is a minor league goalie who played 20 games in the NHL and, you know, got lucky against the Rangers. But and there's no bitterness coming out of my mouth either. But that could definitely be a possibility.
I mean, it definitely could be. I'm not going to rule that out. I mean, Schmidt looked really, really good in his 20-some games coming up.
He didn't look so good against Carolina, though. Carolina made him look terrible.
Carolina made a lot of good goaltenders look terrible, though.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean, he was not good again. Their goaltending was horrible against the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to hold that against him, though. I'm not going to sit there and say that he's not good because of that bad series. Again, they made everybody look terrible until they hit the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right. They're just a tremendous defensive team, Carolina.
They are.
And they force turnovers. They're a great forechecking team, and you know they can play the I'm going to sit back and let you make a mistake game, and then and pounce on your mistake and score.
Yep.
When you're looking like you're playing a perfect game, they'll lull you to sleep and then bite you. That's their game, and they got the guys to do it.
Yep, they already signed one of them back, and they gotta sign a couple more back, and then Carolina will.
Are they
Yeah,
really
they're
going to
not changing.
Are they going to let Pesci go? Is that real? Carolina.
I think he wants out. I don't think that's an
Boy,
organizational choice. I'm not sure.
I would love to have him on my team. Oh, he would be perfect. You
Yeah,
could
but I
put him.
know
You could
Jordan
put him.
Staal's back. I know that.
He wants a lot of money though, right?
Um,
I think he's looking for what, 6.5 mil a year.
Again, I don't even know if he's even a free agent. I think if he wants out, he's going to have to be traded.
I think he's going to be a free agent after this year. I think. I'm not 100% sure about that.
I think so too. That's why I'm not 100% sure if he's.
It's either that or he's restricted. I'm not sure about his contract status, but I know he's getting near the end, and he's really
He'll
good.
be a UFA at the end of this year. After the end of this coming season.
Okay, yeah, he's really good. He is really good. So,
He's going to get an exceptional raise after this year, though.
oh yeah, absolutely.
So he's making just over 4 at this moment, but after this year, I could see him making 6.
It's gonna be
6.5.
6. Yep. That he could fit in a lot. He could fit in on a lot
So
of
let's see here.
places.
Me, Metal Mike saying. So me, Metal Mike saying, Penguins fan, Cowboys fan, or Mets fan? Who would you rather be stranded on an island? And he also said you have to choose one. Well, since I'm only
Oh,
a
a
one
Mets fan.
sport kind of guy, I could get away with saying I could easily say Cowboys fan or Mets fan. You want to know why? Because I'm a one sport kind of guy, so I don't have to worry about that shit. So I can just pass on by the Penguins fan. Now, Brad, you chose the Mets fan, right?
Yep. Because a Met fan trying to mock the Yankees. That's pretty funny. So, our 27. I'll put my 27 championships against there too. Any day of the week.
Really, that's all the Mets
and
have? It was just 2?
Just 2, and
Huh.
they came into the city because they were awarded a franchise because the Dodgers left and the Giants left. So all those fans who hated the Yankees got their way and they got the Mets. And all I could say to you guys is you got what you deserve. That's what happens when you root for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and that's what happens when you root for the New York Giants. I'm talking about baseball.
Bri, what would your decision be? Would you go with the Penguins fan, the Cowboys fan, or the Mets fan?
No, go with the Penguins fan. I can't stand the Cowboys and I can't stand the Mets. I'd rather go with the Penguins. I hate Cowboys fans. They're the worst. I could never be stranded on an island with them. Bad things would happen.
I hear you. I totally understand that.
All right, then. So we move on from that. So state of the Flyers, we talked about the trades with Blackwood going to the Sharks and the Kings getting Dubois. Now, obviously, we talked about the trade of Kevin Hayes going for a 6th-round pick and really alleviating some cap pressure, which is the main thing that we get out of that. Obviously, we were hoping to trade Travis Sanheim to St. Louis as well. Unfortunately, Torrey Krug nixed that. Honestly, I don't feel any hatred towards Torrey Krug. He had a no-trade clause. It was his choice to waive it. I'm not against no-trade clauses. I understand why players have them. They want to have a say in what happens because if you don't have it, you don't get a say at the end of the day. And if you're a good enough player, or if you're if your agent is conniving enough, you could always swindle a team into giving you one if you don't deserve it. But at the end of the day, you get to have a say in where you want to go. We all know what happened with the Dadonov situation, which was still hilarious. when we look back on it. I mean, I still get a kick out of it personally. It's like, yeah, it's on my no trade list. What the hell you trade me there for?
Anaheim's trying to get a compensation pick for that whole fiasco.
They should, because that was bullshit what happened there.
Mm-hmm. They're saying they think they should get a second round pick for that from Ottawa.
Gotcha.
Just that whole situation and whatever.
But, honestly, I don't get mad at Krug. Because, I mean, there's also the thing of, I think Krug rejected it for a couple of reasons. I think, one, I don't think he wants to go to a team that's currently in rebuild. I would rather think he would want to go to a team that's got a shot at winning a cup. Secondly, on top of it as well, I know some people might have said that maybe Krug would have tried to have been flipped later on in the year. But, why would you go to a team that's like, well, you're just going to flip me, so why the hell would I waive my no trade clause? I'm going to stay here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and if he has a family, especially.
So, I don't really blame him. I can't say I blame him.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't think it has anything to do with the Flyers. I just don't think he wants to be playing for a team that's in rebuild. I think St. Louis is in rebuild, but not the way Philadelphia is.
St. Louis is in retool, whereas the Flyers are in rebuild.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. The thing I hate about this whole deal is the fact that all this information had come out, and everybody was all like, "Buckle up!" #buckle up. Well, anybody that did #buckle up can buckle this. For real, like. Krug got very familiar with this city playing for Boston, and I don't think he wants to play for this fan base in this city. I just don't think he likes the city, and I don't blame him. There's just moments where I don't like this city, but he's probably got a nice home, great school system for him and his family. He's a leader in the locker room. He wants to be a part of an organization that has won something in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, and feels like St. Louis is the best situation for him. So I don't blame him for exercising his right to veto the trade. So it's what is in best interest for him.
And again, I mean, it sucks from the Flyers side of things, but at the same time, it's like Danny will figure out something else. That's just how it is. He'll figure out something else. He has no choice. He has to figure out something else. So let Danny take care of it. He'll figure it out.
Everything happens for a reason, Matty.
Right. That's a good thing to throw out there. And then obviously the other major thing was the D'Angelo thing, which of course it got blocked by the NHL. We'll see if the NHL will just allow it to go. They may even just say, hey, listen, you guys jumped the gun. You couldn't do it yet. We'll let it go in July, or they may just let the trade go through tomorrow at the draft before the picks get made. So it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see what the results are of that, because that trade could still happen. Other than that, though, for the state of where the Flyers are at, I'm kind of fine so far. I can't really say anything negative. We're moving salary off the books, which is what the goal was, which is what the job is supposed to be. We got some picks in return for trading Provorov away. We got a pick for trading Kevin Hayes away. And we're looking to see if we can get a prospect from the Hurricanes for D'Angelo. So, I mean, honestly, I can't really say that Danny's doing a bad job. I think so far where the state the Flyers are at, they're doing what they got to do. They're trying to shed salary, and it's not pretty. And it's not a fun process, but you got to go through it if you want to try and hit your rebuild button and you want to hit the reset. And sometimes you got to make some tough choices. So that's what they're doing.
Tearing down a team is not a lot of fun. You know, we went through it as as a Ranger fan. We went through it a few years ago when they traded Hayes and they traded Zuccarello, who was one of my favorite players. And the Zuccarello trade really hurt, by the way. And really it was tough to have to go through all that, but and then the letter, which was an embarrassment, which the whole everybody in the league was laughing at them for sending the fans a letter. I mean that
The letter of "We're sorry that our team sucks."
yes, and we're going to be making a lot of we're going to be making a lot of decisions and letting go a lot of players that you like, and deal with it. The only guys we're going to keep are Zibanejad and Kreider, and that's it, basically. That wasn't in the letter, but that's basically what happened.
But I mean, hey, listen, they made the right choice of keeping those two.
Yes, so. They did. I can't complain about. But you know what though? They got all those picks, and they were able to build themselves a pretty good team. And they've got a nice group of young players,
and that's what the Flyers are doing right now.
Yeah, and they got a couple of good players in the minors who in their farm system who they're going to try to bring up this this off season, Cooley and Oathman, and we'll see if those two guys can make the team. That's a big part. That's a big part of it too. So it can happen to you guys just as easily as it happened with us. We got lucky with Adam Fox. He refused to play in Carolina, and the Rangers traded him for 2 second-round picks, and that may have been the biggest heist in the history of the team. So it happens that way.
I believe
just a little.
Fox started in Calgary.
Yeah, no, he was drafted by Calgary.
Yeah, he drafted by Calgary, traded to Carolina in the Hanifin Elias Lindholm deal, and then he went to the Rangers.
Because he refused to sign with Calgary.
Yeah.
So they traded his rights to Carolina, and he refused to play in Carolina either. He wanted to play with the Rangers because he's from New York, and his family is all from New York. And believe it or not, he is my son-in-law's second cousin.
Huh, that's interesting.
How do you like that? He wasn't even at the wedding.
Love the fact though that he pulled an Eric Lindros where he refused to play for two teams.
Yes, that's exactly what he did. Some people do. Maddie, some people really do want to play in New York. Hard to explain why, but there are some people who really want to go there. It's mostly people who are from there that want to play there. So I have to make sure I mention that.
I get it. I mean, you grew up cheering for the Rangers, so naturally you'd want to play for the Rangers. And also, if you didn't grow up a Rangers fan, I mean, I could understand wanting to play for an original six team, no matter what original six team that is.
Didn't work out well for Kevin Shatton.
The legacy that it is. So, I could understand.
You remember him, right, Brian?
No, you are correct. It definitely did.
Yeah. No, he wasn't doing too good for Rangers.
Here's the funny part. Kevin
Shatton so good for
Anaheim.
Anaheim.
Yeah.
You know what the funny part is that he almost wound up on the Flyers and the Ducks snagged him. What the funny part of it is like if he wound up just playing the way he's playing with the Ducks, it's like he would have been Andrew McDonald 2.0 for the Flyers if he had done it.
Yeah, no, he can score. I mean,
you're right. Okay, that's a little harsh. I agree. Yeah. That's a little harsh.
He has a little offensive ability, but he's really bad defensively, though.
He's been even worse in Anaheim.
Yeah. He's a parking cone on defense.
That entire defensive core right now in Anaheim needs to wake the hell up.
Yeah.
Well, it's all right.
They could use a couple of thumpers back there too.
You guys that can play defense.
That would help.
Yes.
Anyway, so what you're saying is the Ducks defense is a meme of just pylons, basically.
Pretty much. Right now it is. I mean, Drysdale's been pretty good. I'm waiting for Olin Zellweger to make his debut, which hopefully will be next year.
They still have Cam Fowler?
Mm-hmm. He's been okay at best. I'm waiting for these young guys to come up. These young guys are gonna hopefully be something good. Drysdale's been really good. I really like Drysdale.
Yeah, he's always come highly regarded. So I think you got a good one there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Best defenseman in the draft fell to 6.
yep.
I'll take it. I wanted Jake Sanderson, but he went to Ottawa, so I'll take Drysdale.
Yeah, Drysdale's good.
Yeah,
He's good. Listen, it's harder to find a good defenseman than it is to find a good wing.
mm-hmm.
Me Metal Mike saying, would this rebuild be a failure if somehow by sheer ungodly luck we win the cup this season and somehow lose our chance of drafting? I mean, if it would be the most Philadelphia thing in the world if the Flyers managed to pull a cup out of their ass when no one expected them to. But the chances of this are extremely slim, of course. But no, I don't think you can even consider it a failure because you won the cup. If you one of those weird things, you'd be like, how the fuck did we do this? But we're not complaining. We're not giving it back. So, you know.
Hey, listen, if Leicester City can win the Premier League, okay, and now they're back in the second division again, they're back in the Championship League. That's soccer, of course, but that's hockey's grass, brother. Then anything's possible.
Yeah, there you go, right?
You lost me
Hey,
on
what's
soccer.
up, Tommy?
You lost me on soccer. What's up, Tommy?
Oh, sorry. Hey, Tom.
Okay, look at it this way. It would be basically like for it to continue on a soccer reference. It would be basically like if the U.S. won the World Cup. Be like, how the fuck did we do this? Like, we can't win baseball, but we can win soccer. How the fuck does this make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait, what?
What is this soccer you speak?
Yeah, it's something where they kick balls around.
Right.
I'm not going any further than that.
I
They call
kind
it
of made it
football
that way.
everywhere else except here.
Yeah.
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 I'm sorry. Football. It's football.
Oh, whatever.
All right, so moving on to our overtime, which means it is time for the shootout. Unless there's anything else you guys wanted to mention on the state of the Flyers. Anything at all?
No, I mean, I pretty much said everything I wanted to say earlier on in the show. I have faith in Danny. I know the trade today was extremely disappointing. Just have to have faith. I mean, trades like that are going to happen. It's a rebuild. Not every trade's going to be pretty, but the important thing is getting draft capital over the next couple of years. That's what you want. You got 9 picks. Yeah, 9 picks in this upcoming draft starting tomorrow. You have, I think they're up to 8 or 9 for next year as well. This is, so you got to shed cap somehow, and there's good and bad ways to do it. I thought this trade, as sexy as it was not, it was a good deal in the bigger, broader picture of everything. At least it's not a buyout where you're paying them money for the next 6 years. So got to take the good with the bad with this one.
Hey, listen, there is an old saying, anyone can do the pretty ones. Let's see here.
I don't know about that.
Me Metal Mike saying
Define
Flyers
pretty.
Canucks Cup. I'll refer you to another old saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Mean Metal Mike saying Flyers Canucks Cup, we sweep them. That would actually probably be very
That would be
very
amusing.
probable.
Somebody's playing NHL 23 right now, isn't he?
Flyers Canucks Cup. So that would be interesting. Now, you know what would happen? The Flyers would get swept by the Canucks and the Canucks would win their first cup. That's what the fuck would happen. That's exactly how that shit would go down. Be
And
like,
then go
no,
on to
no,
win
you know what?
3
I'm
more.
wrong. No, I know exactly how that cup final would go. The Flyers will go up 3-0 in that series, and just because the hockey gods hate our guts, they will kick me right in the dick by watching the Canucks pull a reverse sweep and come all the way back to win their very first cup. Why? Because you can't have nice things in Philadelphia. That's why.
Because he hasn't forgiven, because the good Lord hasn't forgiven you for being goons in the 70s. And
Nope.
he's being
That
like
would
the
clearly be
elephant.
the sign of it.
Yes, he's clearly being the elephant here.
Yeah.
How the elephants never forget. You're not forgiven yet.
Nope. Clearly not.
No.
All right. So on to the shootout we go. Brought to you by Alonzi Travel. Listen, if you summer's here, hopefully you planned one ahead of time. But if you didn't, hey, listen, all you got to do is contact Alonzi Travel and get that vacation of your dreams. If you want to go someplace that's your happy place, or if you and the family want to go to, say, Disney or Universal or someplace else where everybody can have fun and your kids can go crazy and you could question why you brought your kids on a vacation with you and your wife or whatever. Alonzi Travel is the place to go. They have an expert team, particularly Ritz and Chucks, two of the specific experts in this field. They have the ability to create the vacation of your dreams wherever your heart calls to. Let their talented team do it for you so you don't have to stress about planning every single little meticulous thing. All you got to do is pack and catch the flight. That is all you got to do with Alonzi Travel. So say hi to Ritz and Chucks and let them take care of you there. Okay, gentlemen. So to the shootout segment we go, and we started off with favorite draft prospect for this year. That is not Connor Bedard.
All right, let me clarify a little bit further. Outside of the top four, which is Bedard, Fantilli, Carlsson, and Will Smith, those four are not allowed to be picked. So you got to go anywhere from
All right.
5 down.
All right.
Ooh.
So that's the rule.
So who wants to start this one up?
I will, because I'm very big on this kid, especially for the Flyers, and I am going to go with Zach Benson, leading scorer in the WHL this offseason. I know his size is a little under what you want it to be, but you can always pack on weight. Weight isn't a problem. You can always pack on that muscle, which is something I'm sure he'll do this offseason too, or at least start doing after he gets drafted. But his creativity, his ability with the puck, his skating ability, it's the reason why he's a top 10 pick in the draft. He's a scoring left winger, which is really hard to find. Most left wingers are going to be your power forwards typically, and your scoring is going to come off the right wing. But, like we were saying earlier, I believe Benson can play the right side as well. But, his offensive creativity, he's going to be a fun kid to watch. And I really hope the Flyers take him. Right now, he's my favorite prospect.
All right. Mine, I'm going to go with Oliver Moore. I know that Swoopy mentioned him earlier, but I do like his play, especially his two-way play. He seems like he's going to be one of those guys that's like, you know what? He could be one of those sleeper picks that turns out to be really vital to a team moving forward. And it's like, yeah, he wasn't in the top 4, but you know what? It doesn't matter because he's still like a backbone for a team, both on the offensive and defensive side of the puck.
Yeah, that was the other thing about Benson too. He's not the best defensively, but he's definitely a better offensive-minded player, which, the Flyers need that. Need guys who can be creative and guys who can create scoring chances and be able to make things happen with their skating ability. And this kid can do that. I think Oliver Moore's going to be the type to do that too, but I just don't think his offensive ability, to me personally, is up there with the likes of Zach Benson, Ryan Leonard, any guys like that. But I mean, Oliver Moore's going to make one of these lower tier teams happy. He really will. He's a better two-way player too.
Right. Brad, what do you got?
I'm going to go with a guy that's a little lower than them, and that's Matthew Wood. At 6'3", 190 pounds,
Okay.
he's got size, strength, and he's got a nice scoring touch. When he was, when he was in, when he played for the Victoria Grizzlies in the BCHL, 46 goals, 45 assists. I'm sorry, 45 goals and 40 assists in 40 games. He played for UConn, scored 11 goals, 23 assists, and 34 points in 35 games. And in the Canadian under 18, the Canadian AIM League, he had 7 goals, 6 assists, 13 points in 7 games. Well, that guy looks like a player, and he's big. And I told you I have an affinity for getting big guys, and I think being on Arizona, he's going to get a lot of ice time. I think you're going to see a lot coming out of him, because he will get to play. And I don't know how much, other than the top 4 guys, I don't know how much playing time these other guys are going to get. But you can be guaranteed Wood will get plenty of playing time in Arizona.
Yep, especially if they start losing guys like Lawson Krause, who I believe is being looked at by Toronto. He's another
They
big
get
guy
rid of
plays
everybody, so.
Well, I mean, he's a free agent anyway. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him, but
does he want to go back there?
Honestly, don't know.
Yeah, that's the. Listen, if they stay in Arizona, Arizona is one of those tax boogie states, so
We'll
may
see.
want to.
We'll see. Like I said, I know Toronto's interested in him because he does bring size and physicality, and he does have some scoring ability.
Toronto needs that
so
too.
Moving on to our final part of the shootout, we will do now the draft night hot takes. So, who wants to start off with their hot take?
This goes against everything I've said earlier, though. Let's see if I can think of something else. No, because I can't do that one either. Because that again goes against everything I said earlier. I'm trying not to be a hypocrite.
It's the hot take. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, but I'm trying not to be a hypocrite. Gabriel Perreault gets drafted at 12.
Okay. All right.
Is he related to Gilles Perreault? The great player from Buffalo? Just wondering.
I'm not sure. I don't know, to be honest with you.
I think
Metal Mike saying hot take. Chicago trades their pick for number 30 because I like chaos. I like it too. Brad, what you got for your hot take?
Okay, what the hell? The Flyers swoop in at number 5 and grab Smith.
Okay. So the Flyers swoop in and they take Will Smith at number 5. Okay.
Yes, and they're going to give the Canadians number 7, and they give them 22.
Okay, so they give the Canadians both picks in order to swoop in and get Will Smith. All right. As for me, I will.
Well, you said chaos, right?
Yes, and speaking of chaos,
okay.
Instead of picking Connor Bedard at number 1, the Chicago Blackhawks will take Adam Fantilli, leaving Brian's Anaheim Ducks to snag Connor Bedard, and that will be how the hockey gods write everything for fucking the Ducks over twice over the draft lottery. They get Connor Bedard anyway at number 2.
Boy, that is chaos.
Yeah, the whole hockey world will lose their shit. They would be so happy too because Chicago wouldn't get him either. They'd be like, "Oh yes, thank God Chicago didn't get a franchise player again. Fuck them."
Well, how about the Ducks trade Zegras to the Blackhawks for the first round pick?
So the Ducks will have both the number 1 and number 2 pick.
There you go.
And they'll pick both Fantilli and Bedard.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be great. That'd be hilarious, actually. Be like,
one last thing, guys. I got an over and under for you. Bedard
Sure.
this year over under 70 points. I say under.
I'm thinking under, but not under by much. You know what I mean? I think he gets close, but I don't think he reaches it. You know what I'm like? There's actual debate of, oh shit, he might hit 50, but like, nah, just miss, just.
Yeah, no, a lot of people have been surmising about, for whatever reason. It seems like everybody's over under for Bedard is 70. So that's why I picked that number, because that everywhere I read it, the internet, everybody is saying what's the over under for Bedard is 70 for Bedard. Where would you go, under or over? I'd say under.
I'm gonna go under on that. I say he gets to 50. He gets to 50 points, but I don't think he gets to 70.
Yeah, I could see like 21 goals, 29 assists, something like that.
Something around that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie. Remember, we got to remember he's 18 years old, right?
Yeah, he's a young pup.
Yeah, it's not that easy.
No, it is not. Very different game from the junior.
Actually,
to the pro.
As of now, as of today, he's not even 18 yet. He's 17.95 years old.
I love how you put the .95 there.
Yeah, well, I don't know when he was born. I'm just reading that. I'm not that smart that I know that off the top of my head.
Still funny though. So through his equation age that he currently has, he'll be 18 obviously before the start of next season, I would think.
Yeah.
But and Me Metal Mike says extra chaos. Both teams don't get Bedard. He goes to Columbus. Boy, that would be holy shit. There you go.
The only way that would happen is if the general manager.
There's a slice of fried ass if you ever seen one. Be like, hey, neither the Ducks nor the Blackhawks took Connor Bedard. Yeah. You just see them in the trunk of the Columbus Blue Jackets GM's car.
Yeah.
You'd be like, you ain't picking Bedard. You're missing your picks.
Yeah, bound and gagged. As soon as pick number 3 is made, all of a sudden they come running out and they got duct tape on their mouths and they did it.
You see 2 cities be burned into the ground if they
stop,
don't take Bedard.
halt, thief.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Well, you missed it.
What do you think, Brian?
You missed it earlier, Brian. I said that
70
on the over/under.
Yeah, where you go with that?
What was it? Over under on what?
70 for Bedard.
70 points for Bedard.
We're gonna go over.
Over, okay.
Over, okay.
I'm gonna go over. The kid's is so filthy. Don't put him on a good line with the player.
Do you think he could break Tino Salami's record?
All right.
In his first year?
No.
Okay. Good. I'm glad you didn't quite go that far.
I love how you use salami there instead of Solani.
Well, yeah, I said salami just to be an idiot.
No.
I'm sorry, it's just part of my.
That's that these days that record isn't going to ever be touched. That's a rookie goal scoring record that's going to last the rest of eternity now.
That's a miracle rookie scoring
But
record.
you missed You missed it earlier, though, Brian, when I said in my hot take, though, that instead of picking Connor Bedard, Chicago will pick Adam Fantilli, and then you guys will get to pick Connor Bedard as the way the hockey gods even things out for fucking you over twice with the draft lottery.
Yeah.
I'm not that lucky. But, hey, if that does happen, I mean, I'll be happy. But, I mean, I'm happy with any of the top three that they take. I really am. Like, all three of those players are going to be studs. They're all franchise players.
Right.
Yes, they're going to be outstanding players.
Yeah, so I'm happy. I'm happy with any of those three. I'd rather my preference is Fantilli.
All right, gentlemen. So that will do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour previewing of the draft. So tomorrow, the big day for all 32 teams, even for the team that won the Cup in Vegas. Everyone gets to make a pick. It's supposed to be a deep draft this year, and we'll see. We will see what major players come out of this one as we move forward, and we'll see if the Flyers make any major splashes before they pick at number 7, or if they pick at number 7. Maybe they pick a little sooner than that number. Maybe. But we will have to wait and see until tomorrow. But for everybody out there, we thank you for joining us for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. One last time, brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal. If you've got any type of injuries that are nagging you, go to him and go to his professional team that they've got over in Cherry Hill or Burlington, New Jersey, so that those aches and pains don't bother you anymore. And we will see you guys next week right here on the Hockey Happy Hour for the draft fallout. We will find out, will the Flyers have made a big splash? Will they have picked before number 7? Will they pick at just 7 and maybe get a big play in return for maybe something else to add to the team, shedding some cap and getting some major prospects? We'll see. We'll see. Until then, next week we'll have it all here for you right here on A2DRadio.com. Until then, peace and love, everyone. Take care.